From the top of Serra Montemuro, Portugal, welcome to the GCN show.
The badge wheel is the top of the Conrad del Sol in Calpe.
Welcome to the GCN show!
Hi, I'm George Incapi.
I'm Cadell Evans.
I'm
KPP. This is the GCN show.
Welcome to the GCN show.
This week we are taking a look at your steepest climb. The show is teaming with Taipei Tech, and we also review a whole host of cobbled classics.
Add to that a blend of caption, comments, hack, bodge, and a pair of Wattage bazookas, and you have another bumper GCN show.
Blend.
Oh yeah.
The question on our minds this week is Sagan too good for his own good? Because once again at Gent Wevelgem on Sunday, he fell short of the win despite an obvious abundance of power and strength. The reason? Stubbornness, basically. A standoff between he and Nicky Terpstra, which allowed Greg van Avermaet and Jens Kirkelera to sail up the road, never to be seen again.
Yeah, let's tackle this question, shall we? Peter Sagan, he is 27 years old. He has 2 World Championship wins and 1 monument in his palmarès in the form of the Tour of Flanders last year. He's got 7 stage wins at the Tour de France and 5 Green Points jerseys, which is pretty nuts, and coming close now to 100 pro wins overall. There is no doubt that he is a once-in-a-generation talent, but could he be more tactically astute and therefore win more? Or actually, is it the fact that he is too good, his rivals are so scared of him that they actually race against him?
Well, let's put Peter Sagan into a little bit of context, shall we?
Right.
He's good, but although he's got 2 wins at the same age in the World Championships compared to Tom Bonen's 1, let's have a drill down into the Cobble Classics. 2 victories for Tom Bonen in Paris as opposed to Peter Sagan's 0, and 2 wins in the Tour of Flanders for Tom Bonen as opposed to Peter Sagan's 1. Although, let's admit, this could change at the weekend.
But hang on a minute, are you saying that Peter Sagan is not too good then? Is something else?
No, not necessarily. I just wonder why Tom Bonen's results in the Cobble Classics are far superior than Sagan's.
Could be a number of reasons, I guess. Maybe it's down to local knowledge. After all, Tom Bonen grew up racing over the cobbles of Paris and the Tour of Flanders as well, so that always helps.
That is true, yeah.
And there's another reason as well. I think Tom Bonen had another very similar adversary in the form of Fabian Cancellara, so the spotlight always wasn't on Bonen himself.
Yeah, that's right. It shares responsibility, doesn't it? There's the fact that Bonen was quite specialised compared to Sagan. Certainly in the latter part of his career, he basically lived for April, didn't he? And probably a bit of March.
Yeah, and he was in the Quick Step team in its various incarnations for the last 15 years. The most experienced team with the best hit rate at the Cobble Classics by far.
I think all of those are a factor, but I do just think that Sagan has a reputation that far exceeds his actual results, and that people do clearly race against him, and he has that responsibility on his shoulders because he pretty much is the complete package. He's got a great sprint, even though he does regularly get out sprinted, and he is arguably the strongest guy in the race, and that then comes with a responsibility, and you need the tactical nous to then offset that.
I do wonder if he is too strong for his own good, not just at the moment, but from an early age he was that talented that then perhaps you don't have to learn quite the same racecraft as people that aren't as strong.
I think another thing to consider as well is that Peter Sagan primarily in the classics is on his own. Okay, he's got support up to halfway or 2/3 into a race, but at the back end of a race, when the pressure's on, he's essentially on his own, and there's only so many options he has.
He feels lonely.
I think he might feel lonely.
Yeah. To be fair, jokes aside, there may be a reason that he's a victim of his own success there, and actually what team can afford to hire Peter Sagan and then a full classics roster to back him up? You know, because he does get paid quite a lot, we think.
It's very easy to get frustrated when you're on your own, you've got no backup, and that's why other teams play off it. But it's fascinating, it is fascinating to watch without a shadow of a doubt.
It is a really interesting subject, and as ever, we'd love to hear your thoughts on this very subject, which you can leave down below. Should Peter Sagan be winning more than he is? Do you not care because he's the most entertaining rider in the pro peloton at the moment? Let us know in the comment section down below.
I just think it's great.
You know he's going to win Flanders, Roubaix, and probably Amstel Gold this year.
Yeah, it's pretty rich as well. 3 of us criticising Peter Sagan's victory.
Well, people often said I was just
analysing it.
Maybe we were too strong for our own good.
That's why we're here.
Put my results down for that.
Never had that problem, have we really?
Caption of the week now, and last week we gave you this pretty famous photo now, I'd say, of Peter Sagan dodging a woman and a dog. And the winner of the GCN Camelback water bottle is...
I'll grab one live on air while you're doing that.
Is Blake Robinson. Congratulations to you. We love this caption. Get off the road, you hairy beast. I can't, I'm in a race.
142 likes.
Yeah.
Basically voted for it right there. That's a
Possibly
cracker,
the
isn't it?
most well-deserved receiver of a GCN Camelback bottle that we have ever had. That was brilliant. Get in touch with us on Facebook with your address, Blake, and we shall send that out as soon as possible. This week's caption is this one of Zach Dempster at the Tour of Catalonia race recently. I shall get it started. I wanted a jacket with cheese and beans. If you can do any better than that, leave your captions in the comment section down below.
It's now time for cycling shorts.
Let's start this week's cycling shorts with a roundup / update of last week's hashtag GCN Steep. We asked you to send in pictures and videos of the steepest climbs near you, and we've had absolutely loads. And we've also got a new bit of tech to introduce to measure the severity of these climbs called the GCN Gurnometer or Gurnometer.
It's an official one as well.
It is.
It's official tech. Right, first up we got this, sent by Kevin Taylor. It's the Chemin des Acacias in Avermaet, France. It pitches up, in France, it pitches up towards 40% if his head unit data is believed. And it's a bit short, so I think maybe that's like a 6 on the Gurnometer. What do you think?
I agree.
5.
Yeah?
Oh,
Yeah. It's that steep.
do you overrule this? Where
Well,
is this
I
tech
think
at? Are you the owner?
Yep.
Maybe we should
Yeah.
ask Lasty's face.
Well, have a look at the
What Gurnometer
algorithms
says.
anyway. Now, technically, sidewalks don't count. It should be roads, and we're not saying you can't ride on sidewalks, but definitely there have to be rules. But just listen to the sound effects on this one.
Please don't slip. Oh my god, my gains are so low. No! 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 No!
Ah, Joseph!
Didn't make it to the top. What are you playing at?
Is that even eligible?
He's going to lose a couple of points.
Dunno, on the-
Sidewalk, didn't get to the top.
8.5 on the Gurnometer.
Is that a sign of steepness?
Well,
Or
yeah,
weakness?
good shout.
Yeah.
Oh, nice work.
Blimey.
All right, we had a load of nominations for the Corkscrew in Cheshire in the UK. Have a look at this. Cobbles, and apparently 45%.
That's nearly 1 in 2.
It looks like a footpath, doesn't it, if I'm being completely honest?
It does.
Is that a road? Is that eligible?
Well, we're making the rules up as we go along. Let's say it's
Yeah,
eligible.
Yeah, well
this'll
done.
develop and progress, won't it?
The Timsbury Cycle Group sent in this footage of a climb that's actually very, very local to the GCN offices. It's called Prospect Place. It's quite short again, and it only looks like 25% from the sign there. So, 4.
Yeah. Funny that we've never
overall.
ridden it though, even though it's just next
Not
door.
really,
Yeah,
but
just
very
avoiding
easy to
it.
send Lasty over there to do it, so you might see it fairly soon.
Yeah, good point. Okay, we're getting some pretty punchy climbs now though. Ex-Capitan de Mejas sent in this.
Pronunciations are top hole.
Thanks very much. I'm on fire today. 38.8%. That's pretty punchy. Look
Costa
at that photo
Rica.
from Costa Rica. Yeah,
I
that's
think
got
we
to be
need
a
to
9.
see somebody riding up that, if anyone can send
Yeah.
some footage in.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
definitely.
9 you say?
9 on the Gurnometer.
Definitely.
This though has to be our winning one. We had loads of suggestions for this climb over in Pittsburgh. It's called Canton Avenue, and apparently each year it's used in a race called the Dirty Dozen, where, as the name suggests, they go up 12 very steep climbs. This though is the pièce de résistance. I used to say that.
Pièce de résistance.
Yeah. Very interesting.
But look at it. Here's a couple of photos for you. That does look absolutely brutal.
I keep looking at that one on the cobbles and thinking it must be a trick photo. And all the trees look really rather vertical, don't they?
They do.
I just think that is actually
Yeah.
the thing.
Thanks to
Last
Tom
in.
Lort and Christopher Boyle for sending those two
I think
respective
Pittsburgh's
photos
taken it up
in.
to 11 on the Gurnometer. You know?
Ooh.
I think that's maxed out. You couldn't gurn much more, could you?
Well, safe to say, we've really enjoyed looking at all these climbs over the last week, and we would love to see more footage and pictures from the steepest climbs near you, because we think this is deserved of a top 10 video in its own right.
I can feel one in the making.
And also a round the world ticket for Tom Last.
Of course. Next up, we have some mountain bike news.
Oh,
Now,
yeah.
please don't switch off. There's something of interest here, I think, for roadies. Now, the Cape Epic mountain bike event took place the other week, and there were some familiar faces doing it. Cadel Evans teamed up with ex-teammate from BMC, George Hincapie, and they smashed the Masters Dimension Data category. And also, two cyclocross Sven legends, Van Tournou and Nace, Well, they came 40th overall. And also another legend, mountain bike legend,
Jose Hermida.
teamed up with Joaquim Rodriguez. They were 18th overall.
Yeah, so they were the best out of all of them.
Yeah.
Out of the legends teams.
All the legends.
Did you know that Joaquim Rodriguez could
No.
ride a mountain bike as well?
I saw some pictures online. He did look pretty handy and very, very lean actually. But yeah,
Really?
clearly loves it, yeah.
Interesting stuff. Now, from one epic race to another, the India Pacific Wheel Race, which is the previously mentioned horrifically long bike race across Australia, is nearing the finale. The leaders have got to Melbourne, which means they've clocked up 4,000 kilometres.
Whoa.
Only 1,500 kilometres to go, which is pretty punchy. The ultra-endurance legend, Christophe Alahet, is in the lead. And I heard an interesting story about him the other day, actually. Apparently, he cycles on a Sunday morning from his home in Ghent to Paris, where he buys croissants, and then he cycles home again and gives them to his wife for a late breakfast.
As you do.
In one day, just in the morning.
On a Sunday morning, yeah. Anyway, so unsurprisingly, perhaps, he's in the lead. Second place is Mike Hall. He's just 90 kilometres behind, which sounds like a lot, but, you know, that's like a lie-in, isn't it? 3 hours.
Yeah.
And then Sarah Hammond is 100 kilometres behind Mike Hall.
Impressive.
Close stuff.
Nutcases, really, aren't they? I can't
Yeah.
imagine doing that many
Mighty
kilometres on a
impressive,
bike.
isn't it? Blimey.
Right, we are a bit late to this next one, but in the spirit of ultra endurance, we should name check Jessica Belil because she recently rode 3,109 kilometres in the space of 128 hours. Although
Wow.
she didn't actually travel anywhere, she did the whole thing on a Wahoo kicker paired up to Zwift. But she beat the previous record by 234 virtual kilometres. I think it's fair to say, though, that she probably didn't go up and down Zwift Mountain many times.
Yeah, that would blunt your average speed, wouldn't it?
Did she manage to have any sleep?
Yes, 11 hours over the course of the 128 hours.
Crikey, that doesn't sound like much, does it?
No.
Right, well, while we're on the subject of Zwift, did you know they had their first ever e-fundo? 1,400 people took part and rode the 72.2 kilometre course. And everyone who finished got a Maratona de los Dolomites limited edition kit
It's all right, isn't it?
to ride in on Zwift. Awesome.
Time for competition time now, and the 4 lucky winners of last week's Speedo competition are as follows. Take it away, Daniel.
Yeah, apologies in advance for the mispronunciation of most of these names. But their lucky winners are Henrik Eketial,
That's not bad.
Maciej Vazcik,
Spot on.
Hopefully there's going to be a caption underneath
Chris
their
Vick.
name.
Pretty
Well done,
confident Chris
that
Vick.
is 100%.
Yeah,
And
Nailed it.
finally, Matus Kozak. Well done to you. We'll be in touch and you should receive your prize fairly shortly.
Yeah, more competitions coming up very soon in the form of GCN Unboxing. In the meantime, you 4 lucky winners, when you receive your prize, do make sure you send us a photo of you wearing them. That'd be, you definitely want that.
Yeah, because I had to put mine online, didn't I?
Yeah. We'll post it on social media, that kind of thing.
Si, is that jet lag or exposure to carbon fibre that's making you look just a little bit ropey today?
To be fair, it's probably a bit of both actually. If you haven't seen the videos yet, I've just got back from the Taipei Cycle Show, and yes, there was an amazing amount of new tech there. In fact, I actually fondled so much carbon fibre that I
Whoa.
picked up a carbon splinter in my finger. True story, that. But we did have one particularly interesting meeting actually that was away from the show halls, and it was with a GCN viewer. We've got a graduation today from hack or bodge to tech of the week. You will no doubt remember this amazing looking shoe that was sent in by Jack Lee, and it is quite incredible work of art. It's a carbon fibre molded, custom molded shoe that is so unbelievably light that actually when you attach a cleat to it, the cleat is the heaviest part of the whole ensemble. Well, we're out in Taipei for the Taipei Cycle Show, and Jack got in touch to show us version 2, which are these bad boys. Look at that. Now, the developments have been as follows. Instead of just carbon fibre, he's actually integrated a Kevlar liner into this. The inspiration being Formula One, where the cars are lined with Kevlar to protect the driver in the event of a crash, because Jack worked out that obviously if you were involved in an incident bad enough to crack your carbon fibre shoe, then actually you probably need something to protect your foot as well. So this has a Kevlar liner now, and then also the upper of the shoe is made from Kevlar as well. So instead of being solid carbon fibre, that is now a slightly more flexible Kevlar. The design is still impeccable. But then he's not stopping there. He also decided to bring his new prototype, this, which shows you just how much craftsmanship goes into it. The development you'll see is the closure system, which now goes underneath the shoe as well, and that's incorporating the Kevlar top and bottom as well. Now, Jack tells us that these shoes are actually for sale, but it's quite a complex procedure. You will need to meet him and get your foot completely moulded, or get a mould taken of your foot, and then he can produce you this carbon fibre sock / shoe with cleats on.
We generally get some pretty cool new tech launched around the cobbled classics each and every year. And this year, Trek are launching a very special disc brake version of their Domani RSL, the Team Geometry frame set, which was used so successfully in the past by Fabian Cancellara.
But this year, it's obviously not for Fabian Cancellara, because there's a new cobbled classic star, of course, in the Trek Cycle Show in the form of John Degenkolb. So it's him who gets the turn to have a nice pimp custom frame. And this one harks to Degenkolb's love for his Cafe Racer motorbike.
I flipping love the look
It
of
does
that
look
bike.
good, doesn't it?
That is amazing, isn't it? Yeah, lucky man, John Degenkolb. Right, finally in Tech of the Week this week, we're going to tackle a question that a lot of you have been asking us actually in view of the indoor training sessions that we've been posting. Can you use a carbon fibre frame on an indoor trainer? Well, we put that question to one of our bike partners, Canyon, and they said that they design their bikes with outdoor riding in mind, but in their experience that their frames are perfectly fine on indoor trainers.
The reason though that there is currently this grey area is because currently at least no manufacturer of carbon fibre bikes does long-term testing of their carbon fibre frames on an indoor trainer. So Canyon say that whilst it will by no means definitely break your bike using it on an indoor trainer, the long-term use of a carbon fibre frame on an indoor trainer could lead to surface cracks on the resin that covers the carbon fibre, which is generally an aesthetic problem.
Yeah, I can understand people's concerns on this, but what I used to do, often for ease of use, I didn't keep swapping bikes around, I had a dedicated steel and then later aluminium bike that I kept solely for use on the turbo trainer. It didn't have any brakes on it, was really kind of light in componentry, just to basically an indoor trainer dedicated bike, and that worked a treat. Cost about 100 quid.
I think a steel bike would probably dissolve under me if I was indoor training. All
Yeah,
that sweat.
that's a good point actually.
Yeah. It's funny, isn't it? I think people's problems are the fact that manufacturers often don't cover a bike under warranty when it's on an indoor trainer. But the fact is I've never heard of a case where a bike has broken on an indoor trainer.
either.
Now,
So
Canyon do point out that there are different forces going through a frame when it's sat on an indoor trainer versus when it's out on the open road. And to be honest, I don't think it's going to be too long before the big manufacturers do start doing long-term testing with the increasing popularity of indoor trainers and things like Zwift.
And then they can guarantee that the frame will stand up to it.
Watch this space.
What a week of bike racing we have had. We've had the Grand Tour contenders flexing their quite small muscles at the Tour of Catalonia down in Spain, whilst up in Belgium the cobbled classics are almost in top gear now with the inclusion of Tour of Catalonia E3 Prize and Gent Wevelgem.
It is all kicking off. Well, let's start off with Spain, where Movistar's Alejandro Valverde dominated the Tour of Catalonia. It was on stage 5 that Valverde really seized control of the race, taking the race lead from the fading TJ van Garderen, but more importantly, outpacing Chris Froome and Alberto Contador to the mountaintop finish.
Yeah, for me though, the big story, aside from Valverde's scintillating form, was the fact that Chris Froome and his entire Sky squad got distanced on a technical descent. It must have been a long and technical descent because they ultimately lost 26 minutes. So any chance for the podium, Froome lost second overall, obviously completely went out the window. And although worse than that was that the other 40 guys that were a minute behind Froome got eliminated from the entire race.
46 guys, in fact. It's nuts.
Yeah, that is, yeah. Anyway, there we go. Must have been a really difficult descent.
Meanwhile, Alberto Contador is second place overall in the stage race already in 2017.
Do you know what I'm wondering? Is Alberto Contador too good for his own good?
I think he's not good enough for his own good. I think in his head he's too good for his own good, but he can't quite carry it off these days. But thoroughly entertaining.
Ooh,
and
that was
controversial.
cutting. Oh!
Yeah, maybe cut that out.
No, that's good.
Comments are going
Contador.
to go. Right.
Good job, he's
meanwhile,
Matt's best friend, isn't he?
Up in Belgium.
Sorry, Bertie.
At the Tour of Vlaanderen, it was Yves Lampaert of Quick-Step and Lotta Lepisto of Cervelo who won that race respectively in the men's and women's. A welcome return to form for Lampaert. His classic season last year was a write-off after his girlfriend drove a shopping trolley into his ankle before the classics.
Do you think he's still clear of Aldi for the last few weeks?
He's a little man. He's
sorry.
Quick-Step, isn't he?
I thought he was about 5'8". Oh, he's little.
Hey! This really is
Now, it was an all-Belgian podium in E3 Harelbeke when Philippe Gilbert of Quick-Step Floors, Oliver Naesen of AG2R and Olympic champion Greg van Avermaet broke clear with around 35 Ks to go on the older Quermont. But it was the BMC man who once again prevailed, taking the sprint from Gilbert and Nason.
Meanwhile, at Gent Wevelgem, Lepisto proved that she is clearly a rider on some scintillating form. She narrowly edged out Jurien Dore of Wiggle High Five to take the win there, with Corinne Rivera of Team Sunweb in third place on the day. It is, however, Elisa Longo Borghini who continues to lead the standings overall in the Women's World Tour.
Yeah, and then in the men's race, what can you say about Greg van Avermaet? He netted a rare Belgian triple on Sunday. A bit like you, actually, Dan, although I think you were necking rare Belgian triples as opposed to netting them. Anyway, Van Avermaet dispatched Jens Kukelaar in the sprint, with Peter Sagan finishing third, leading home the chasers. But in doing so, Greg Van Avermaet is only the second rider since Jan Ras to win Het Nieuwsblad. What was the middle one?
E3.
E3, that's the bad boy, and also Gent Wevelgem.
Yeah. Although Kukelaar is clearly a man on form as well this year. That was a stand-up performance for him, for Orica Scott. So I thought I'd do some digging to find out how he's got that form this year.
Like
and
research,
it turns
like
out,
journalism.
Turns out, firstly, he's been working on his core.
Oh yeah, that's pretty good training.
Unorthodox, good
Secondly, he's been doing cross-training.
Oh yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, fair enough.
Two birds with one stone
And
there.
thirdly, and this might not have contributed to his second place at Gent Wevelgem, he's also a master of standing and posing with his bike.
Fan of the channel.
Right, it's time for hack/bodge of the week, and it's about slashing, not dancing.
Sorry.
We'll kick off with this one, which came in from Liam Jepson, which is called Neat Cleats, and it's a brand new way of storing your cycling shoes. And so confident is Liam that this is a hack and not a bodge that he has created a Kickstarter campaign.
Crikey.
Wow,
Maybe that's why my
neat.
kit bag is always so messy. Bag's not good enough. Right then, how about this one? This is a really cool little GCN hack from Jon Gottlieb, the famous track rider. He's invented a set of rollers, in fact a whole setup to replicate training for the Tour of Flanders. It's quite remarkable that, isn't it?
He's a
Although
big lad,
there hasn't
isn't
been a wet roubaix for some time, so
Yeah,
maybe
that's
they need
definitely more
sun or a
Flanders.
heater as opposed to a shower.
I tell you what.
Statistically, the Tour of Flanders is more dry than wet. We saw in the Flanders Museum the other day.
Okay.
Yeah,
We did, but he's...
Interesting.
Moving on.
Yeah, moving on fairly quickly, we have got this hack/bodge, which came in from Matt Baumberger, who got himself a set of clip-on TT bars. So it would be a good idea to get used to the position during the winter, but the TT
Very good
bars
idea.
couldn't fit the display of his tacks anywhere, so he hacked or bodged himself an adapter.
That looks pretty neat.
It looks quite Scandic, doesn't it?
doesn't
Quite a
it?
nice addition to his
Fair
home.
Good skills there. Right, this one is sent in by eWelsh56. Best pre-race front wheel chalk.
Well, he's tried to raise his front wheel, obviously didn't have a yellow page, just used a pair of shoes.
And what he needed was a pair of neat cleats, clearly. That would have sorted that right
Definitely a bodge. Now, I really don't know what is going on in this photo, but it comes from somebody called Peter.Clare. Cheap's there.
Sorry, I think I've just cropped the end of it off Clark. Peter Clark, sorry. I'd cropped the edge of the photo off, but I just managed to fix it there.
I don't know what's happening in that picture.
Well, it's like a much more budget version of the product that you were talking about a little bit earlier on.
It looks a little bit ropey to me.
This is the worst
I love his...
GCN hack or
Is,
bodge we've
is
ever
that
had.
wool or
Let's keep
string?
going, keep going.
There must be
Don't know what
something
it is.
good coming up.
Do
Bodge.
not know what that is.
Oh,
no.
yeah, look at this one. Now we're talking.
This is from
hack and a half.
D-Mackie144 on Instagram. He has made his SRAM Red rear derailleur more aero with this 3D printed cover, which he said he's going to make available to the public to download if they want to print it out themselves.
That, I don't know. I mean, makes sense
Hack?
to make it more
Yeah,
aero.
it does
look
that's
aero.
okay.
Well, deem that a hack because it's one of the few hacks we've had this week.
Yeah, okay.
If you can do better, then please send them in to us over the course of the next 7 days or so. GCN Hack is the hashtag, and we look on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.
Tell you what, come down for the Taipei Cycle Show with quite a bump this week.
I wonder what the time is.
Oh, no.
Time for you to crack on, mate.
Yeah.
All right. Cheers, lads. Thanks for enthusiasm. It's time for GCN's Wattage Bazooka! This week's pro Wattage Bazooka goes to Lotta Lepisto of Cervello Bilia for her and her team's maiden victory in the World Tour race, of course, in the aforementioned Gent Wevelgem. Although it was a big bazooka, it was a narrow winning margin.
Yeah. Well deserved, eh?
It was
Definitely.
very well
It was
deserved.
a cracking sprint, that was.
Before we tell you our viewer Wattage Bazooka for the week, just to remind you, if you'd like to nominate yourself or a friend, use the hashtag #WhatIsBazooka on various forms of social media and you have a good chance of being on the show next week. However, this week's What is Bazooka goes to Nottingley Velo's Dave. Sorry, Dave, don't know your surname.
Just Dave.
Didn't get
He's pretty
tweeted
famous
that.
in those parts.
But he is 76 years old and he rode up Sacalobra in Mallorca, and we know how hard that climb is, don't we?
We do.
Yeah, wonder if he paced it well.
I hope so.
Couldn't have paced it any worse than Si.
Come on, give it some.
Give it some, lad.
You're right, Thomas.
Comment of the week now, and the first one that stood out to us as underneath size tech special from the Taipei Cycle Show, which we won't stop banging on about. Just passing through, just wrote, Keith!
Keith!
Which is of course a talk about that Keith bike which you saw over there.
What a cracking name for a
Yeah.
bike.
Well, yeah, to be fair, it drew me in. I probably would have walked straight past, but the fact that it was called Keith made me go and have a look. And it turns out, actually, it's quite a cool brand. So, permit me, if I may, just have a little digress. Basically, all the bikes in Taiwan are made on one side of the island, except for Keith bikes, which are made on the other side of the island, where most of the day he spends surfing and then just goes and paints a few frames and builds them in his
So
factory.
his name is actually Keith?
Yeah, apparently he said, I don't know what to call my bike brand. I'll just call it after my first name. So there you go. So if you are called Keith and you fancy a bike, look them up.
You don't have to be called Keith though.
Pretty much, do you?
Don't have to be called Trent.
Imagine if
I
you,
suppose, yeah, I'm not called Canyon or Orbea either.
if you
so yeah.
bought a bike called Keith and you had Keith on your top tube as well.
That'd be really cool.
Little
wouldn't it?
flag. Anyway,
Alan is another one you could buy if you were called Alan.
oh, there's
Brian Allen.
Stevens as well, isn't there?
Yeah.
That's the second name, isn't it?
Yeah, Kelly's. I saw Kelly's. Yeah.
There's a lot though, isn't there, really? It could go on.
If
Right,
anyone
should we
can
get on to
find
the
a
second comment of the
Simon,
week?
just let me know.
Let's
Yeah,
do
sorry.
the final one. Well, it's not. Underneath, Descending Made Easy is somebody called Baz. I live in Holland. Step 1 should be finding a descent.
That's quite good, that.
Yeah, pretty good.
And then the last one, which is under last week's Ask GC Anything, which was a brilliant video, actually. I enjoyed that very much. And someone, well, clearly a lot of you did as well. 175 of you agreed with Saudi Mike. Great session. Bring the doc back for more.
Yeah.
It's Professor to you, but all right, fair
Professor
enough.
Louis Pasteur. Yeah, we've certainly
was
tried
good
to get
fun.
him in again because that was very insightful.
He'll be
Lightning.
back.
I learned loads. On the channel this week, on Wednesday, we have 2 videos for you. Firstly, Cornering Made Easy, and also another one of our rather difficult indoor training videos.
Thanks,
And
Dan.
on Thursday, we have our top 10 rides to watch at the Tour of Flanders.
And I can tell you it's actually a top 11. Also, keep
Thank
your
you.
eyes peeled for a full Tour of Flanders preview coming this week as well. Right, on Friday we've got Ask GC Anything as usual, and unfortunately it's just us this week.
You could probably
No
text
professors.
Louis.
We could text him, couldn't we? A couple
Yeah,
of
if you've
questions.
got any training advice, we'll text Louis.
Yeah, well, hopefully you'll still find it entertaining. And then Saturday's Pro Bike is slightly different. It's a retro one. It is Johan Museeu's Colnago C40 from back in the day.
Gorgeous,
It
wasn't
was absolutely gorgeous. Then Sunday, it's the Tour of Flanders and also the GCN Flanders Challenge, where Matt and I, courtesy of Dan's route, tried to ride as many bergs and section of cobbles as we possibly could in a 2-hour ride. Turns out it was really quite difficult.
Yeah,
It's a very long
deliberately
2
so.
hours, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. And then Monday, we've got a maintenance double header. Firstly, we've got how to prepare your bike for the cobbles, thinking Paris
yeah.
Bay. And then we've also got part 2 in how to build a frame. Tuesday?
Is it show 221?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, it's Greg van Avermaet from the BMC racing team. Welcome to the GCN show.
Unfortunately, we are nearing the end of the GCN show now, but before we do go, got to give you a quick update on shop.globalcyclingnetwork.com because we have our Pro Team kit in store. It is in stock, available to buy now. We also have our Pro Training kit, which is a slightly lower price point, and that is now available for pre-order. And then we've got another one, which is the GCN fan kit, and that is going to be just £49 for a jersey and £49 for bib shorts. And if you have a look at it, that looks flipping amazing. That's cool, isn't it?
Very
Plus,
good.
you can get all these in there as well.
Of course,
Loads of
all the
stuff
usual
in
stuff is in there as well.
Have a
The-
wander around virtually.
The fan kit, by the way, is not available for pre-order now, but stay tuned because it is coming very soon.
Yeah, more news on that fairly shortly. Right, thanks very much for watching. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already by clicking on the globe. And we now have a couple more videos which we think you might like to watch if you haven't done so already. Down here is Descending Made Easy, and down here is one of the videos that Si keeps alluding to during the show. It is Weird and Wonderful Tech from the Taipei Show.
Did I tell you I just come back from Taipei?
No.